Welcome back to the Changing Earth podcast with author Sarah F. Hathaway and co-host Chen Gibson. Blending survival, fiction, and fact to bring you entertaining education that will help you dream, survive, and thrive. And now, here's your hosts, Sarah F. Hathaway and Chen Gibson.
Hello, and welcome back to the Changing Earth podcast. This is episode number 361. Hey, Chen, what's up?
Hey, chin's up,
All
y'all.
right. Oh, I forgot to even tell you before the show, we're going to have Mr. Dave Jones with us next week.
Keeping up with the Joneses.
That's right.
Man, I better get my rest next Saturday.
No, you can't be like just coming in off the cuff. You gotta.
Dave's the man.
You gotta come to play.
Yeah.
Maybe with a beer in hand too.
Yeah.
So I got an action-packed show for us today. Of course, we're going to go through the audio drama. We're on the episode number 6 called The Runaway. Cool show today. We'll get into it for sure. But I have, there's been lots of things going on planet Earth above and beyond what I normally do. So I'm like, okay, we've got to just pause for a moment and jump into some of the happenings here on good old planet Earth and go into some of that stuff.
You're gonna give James nightmares again?
Yes. Mr. Monroe, he's getting nightmares. I told him, I'm like, it's just always gonna be James Monroe to me now. I know it's like a mix of fact and fiction, but that's kind of my world. So
that's your world, right?
That's what I do. Yeah. So yeah, Runaway was a pretty cool episode. So we're kind of like in limbo land in Erica's story. So this is actually material that's kind of in between Day After Disaster and Without Land, my 2 novels. And in Without Land, it's just talked about as like part of the past. But I actually wrote it out and brought it to life here in the audio drama. So this is the scene where Erica finds out that she's pregnant. And it's not in my actual novels. So I do have the Las Vegas years. It's for members only. And it's basically these kind of short stories.
Years.
The Lost Vegas years. Because Day After Disaster, did that 9-year jump into Without Land. So people are like, well, what happened? So I started making these short stories. And they are the Lost Vegas years. I just thought it was appropriate, right?
Yeah, that was funny when you told me that title.
Yeah. So this story is actually a piece of that. And Erica's actually kind of lucky in this circumstance that she's in the camp because that is one very great asset of Western medicine has been women can have babies and still live. It used to be a major threat to women to have children. So, that is one big advantage if you were outside the camp. That would be, it could be a toss-up in a survival situation. So be careful. Learn your herbal birth control stuff and grow it. If you're a woman. Yeah.
The whole cast got pregnant, I think. Something was in the water.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Because, what are you doing? And there's no birth control. And, yeah. So that was one of the big problems, actually, is, when the collapse happened, nobody had it. That's why the refugee population kind of skyrocketed and the population kind of skyrocketed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then this is the first rumor of the adoption program was in this chapter or in this scene. When we go into TJ, TJ is just upset with Teresa because she's forming this friendship. Teresa and Susan are forming this friendship, and he's like, no, you don't understand what I do. You can't.
They
be
come
friends.
and they go. Yeah.
Right. You're right. You can't make friends.
Yeah.
Doesn't. But also, I put a mega survival tip in there about the chlorine taps.
Yeah, we got to find a pool shop.
Right? Exactly. So that was a major kind of...
I saw right through you.
Yeah.
I knew what you were doing.
The hidden prepping tip inside the fiction.
The Easter egg.
Exactly. Don't go for the liquid. Go for the taps. They're individually wrapped. They're perfect. You could just chunk off little pieces instead of they're way nicer to have. So buy those. And you should be stocking up on them right now. You should have already been stocking up on them because they still haven't rebuilt that chlorine factory in Louisiana after the hurricane came through and took it out last year, 2020. I think it was. Yeah. So they're still like reeling from the effects of that and not getting that factory back online. So I don't know, political stuff. I just don't want to go there. Then Burgess, he's trying to get as many of his fighters as he can out of the camp, and he can only take one. Just one. Mm-hmm. And so he takes Ginger, and that's where Reno's like, hey man, we need supplies, not people. So this is the first hint of like, we're not actually out to rescue people, but we know there's valuable stuff out there. Mm-hmm. So we're going to go out there and find the valuable stuff. And Erica's story, the boys are finishing up the garden plans. They were big time. They knew how to do aquaponics. So they're making these aquaponics systems to help feed the people. And, Erica's just reeling because, like, how am I going to feed a baby when we can't eat? We're eating rats.
Yeah.
And what is this baby going to wear when we have, like, old T-shirts, as like, rags and everything? So, I don't know. You're not going to, like, really...
It's just like, we'll make it at work.
Yeah. Penny's like, we got it. We'll do it. So, TJ, he's constantly reassessing what's going on at his camp and whatnot to maximize the amount of available supplies that they have. And this is where the whole like camouflage black uniform thing comes in.
Yeah, that was fun.
Right?
They had a shortage.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Where we can make the grunts wear camos, and then when they graduate, they're black shirts. So, they talk about the large militia that's down in Texas. Mm-hmm. Putting together these elite hunt teams, and then he finds out that Alyssa is gone.
Couple days.
Yeah. Indeed. Couple days had time. Yeah. Start out time.
I was a little disappointed TJ didn't do any talking with the whip.
Right.
I thought he's getting too mellow. I mean, TJ's just kind of not enforcing like he used to.
I knew that you were not going to be happy with the level that you didn't dislike TJ again in this episode. I knew it.
I can't handle it.
Oh, just hang on. Just hang on. I mean, we're getting there.
Like, finally, Sheila's going to crack. And she's going to come out. And nope. He just like, you got to tell me. Why didn't you tell me?
Well, yeah.
Somebody would be up in chains with the old TJ.
Yeah. When Patrice does all he goes to talk to her about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then he has his nice little soup dinner and everything, but it's just reminding him of Jillian, and that's in his kitchen big time. So
yeah.
And if you guys don't know who Jillian is, you got to go back to
read a book.
Yeah, you got to read a book. Or back to season 1 of the audio drama. But I haven't ever podcasted Swenson's book. So, yeah, you got to read the book or go back and the book's the best place. Go read the book.
It's a crushing story.
It's a good book anyway. Yeah. Yeah, you'll like it. All right. Burgess is going to set up headquarters. I'm just moving it on. I'm moving on. Burgess is going to set up headquarters in Reno. And then Erica's story. Vince is really concerned about Erica still sneaking out, still teaching martial arts, still doing these things, right? And she's like, oh, it's good. I must slow down after this time. So how did you like the Erica get busted scene? Like, well, she didn't get busted, but how did the dogs and the
that was good,
right?
No, you had some good stuff like the secret passage. That whole scene was awesome, and the run for the corner or whatever he told her to do, and that whole thing that was good too.
Yeah, with the police coming in,
stuff.
and the dogs,
yeah. We gotta get you out of here.
Run out. This is the police. I loved it. I was like, oh, this is so perfect.
No, those were good. Yeah, those were good scenes.
Yeah. A lot of fun to put together. A lot of fun. So this is another area with a nugget. If you guys go back and listen to some of the tracking episodes that I've done. So Erica deploys all her like anti-tracking skills. And one of the biggest things that I remember, because I trained with a guy who did a lot of search and rescue with dogs and whatnot. So dogs have handlers, right? And so if they have dogs chasing you, if you go back and forth over a fence, right? The handler has to pick the dog up, put the dog over the fence so it can pick the trail up again to go over the fence, right? To go over the fence. And now you're wearing out both the handler and the dog. So it's a really good evasion technique if there's a dog, you know, going to be kind of scouting after you. And if you want to be rescued, don't go back and forth over the fence a whole bunch of times. Not a good idea. So yeah, there was definitely some nuggets in there as far as, you know, search and evasion and how to make that happen. All right. Then we get into TJ. Yeah, and this is where Susan shows him the hidden bunker. I love the bunkers. Like when the stairs lift up, that was a good
that was a great scene. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, and then everything had to be echoed and whatnot, you know, to get it to sound like, okay, we're really down in a basement now in this bunker. And Yuri and Ryan are funny in that one. They're just like, oh, we've already searched this, you know, like whatever.
Yeah, what's she gonna show us, right?
Yeah.
What can this chick show us that we don't know?
And then TJ captures Alyssa, so don't worry, you will definitely be offended next episode.
Thank goodness.
There you go. TJ will be at his old colors, just showing them off. Well, he was out on the whip range, and this is one of my favorite lines from Doug, too, when he's out on the whip range, and Mr. Lee's like, dang, you're good with that thing.
You could be an artist.
You could pay, and he does the laugh. Like, what?
Yeah.
What would I want to do something stupid like that for? I love that line. Classic TJ. All right, and then on Vergis's line, he finds the supplies, big cache of supplies, and then covers up the militia activity, right? Yep. So he is still like caught between worlds, and we'll just have to see what happens with him. Caught in the middle again. Okay, so I wanted to rip through the story today because we've had some mega planetary things kind of rumbling, and you know, not to red flag limits yet, but there's definitely things to be aware of at this point, and I needed to be able to share it with you guys today. So that's where we're heading. So for the past 2 years, we've talked about watching our food supplies. We watched tons of natural disasters come in and threaten us. A couple years ago, it was before, this is pre-pandemic, it was flooding and stuff like that, taking out tons of seeds, taking out tons of the crop that are in storage, that kind of thing. And then we hit COVID, and the Department of Agriculture was like, oh, we've seen these kind of things in the 70s, you know, as long as we can have a good year next year, we're going to be just fine. As long as we can have a good year next year, we're going to be just fine. Well, we're still kind of waiting for that year to happen. So we're throwing up a little bit of, we're throwing up a lot of red flags at this point, guys. Food supply is going to be absolutely essential. I know I've been harping on it, but it's not a place we want to be at as a society with hungry people. So we've still seen the extreme storms this year. They slowed down planting in the northern United States, ruined crops with hailstorms, that kind of thing. I mean, here in Texas, New Mexico, California, I mean, the severe droughts have just been insane. They're talking about 3-year recovery time from this year, just because the water levels are so low. And there is so little moisture in the actual land itself. It's going to take time to rebound. We've lost more seed stock, that kind of thing, because seeds got planted and then everything got ruined, and you can't harvest and get more seeds. Problem. So this is why I kind of wanted to go into it. I mean, they're looking at production expenses are just skyrocketing our farmers right now. And the side note, just take this as you will. Whenever communism is instilled in a country, they turn the people against the farmers.
Right.
And then they go and they say, well, the farmers can't do it. We're going to take them out of the job and we're going to have somebody else do it. And these are people that have no idea. Like, they haven't been farming for generations. And so be careful is my message, because they're going to try and turn us against our farmers when we should have really, really a tight unity with our farmers. These are the people growing our food. These are the people that know how to grow our food. And so just eyes up for that one. Be wary of that on the horizon. The markets for farming goods. So because everything has increased in cost, now the companies want to pay less for the product that they're getting, and they have to sell it for more on the back end, or so they say. So is there like a social thing going on? Is there a capitalistic magic show going on? We can't say, but that's what's happening right now, is they're buying for less and they're selling for more. That's also going to be a problem for the farmers. So the grain stocks, we already really talked about them. And then it's China. China's been hit with a lot of natural disasters too. They're reeling. They're trying to get more food in to make sure their people can get fed. They're already communist, so they're already doing these, types of stuff that might not be yielding the biggest results. And we won't even get into like them buying up farmland in the United States, but they are huge in the market, and because they need all these imports this year, which is also going to drive prices up because we're competing against them. Do we sell to our domestic market or do we sell it to China? There's supply chain shortages. All of the parts, the chips, the fertilizers, pesticides, weed abatement, all that kind of stuff is just, the supply chains are all backed up. The products aren't coming in. Everybody knows we have we don't have inflation anymore. We've been told there's no inflation.
0%.
Yeah, 0% inflation. But we needed the inflation bill, right? Because there's no inflation. So anyway, there's no inflation, so we don't have to worry about that. Political priorities. So these green initiatives, I mean, I understand the direction that they're trying to do, like planetary wise, but we need to understand, like, you can't just be driving 80 miles an hour and throw the e-brake on and go the other direction.
The e-brake.
Right? I mean,
yeah.
You can't do that. I mean, you could, but maybe pieces of your car are going to be on the ground after.
Your head's going to go through the windshield.
Right? So, that's why I already mentioned this war that they're going to try and start against farming, saying that, oh, well, they're producing all this carbon, they're da-da-da-da-da. We have to be really, really aware of what's going on. And yes, there are really great horticulture and new farming practices that we have, but we can't just go like, oh, we're not going to do anything old and just start new and try and figure that out. We have to make sure that people are fed in the meantime, and it's a good streamlined process over there. So we'll see what happens. And then all the global trauma on top of everything else with war, natural disasters all over the planet, and the energy, the oil prices, everything just skyrocketing. So it's very, very tough time for farmers worldwide. They're out rioting in the streets in other countries. And we just haven't really caught up yet. I always say, like, when you're too comfortable, you don't have, you still have your tablet, you still have your computer. You can still sit there and believe that the world is at peace, So we'll see what happens in the future, but we need to stay partnered with our farmers. The grassroots efforts are what's going to get us through this stuff. All right, so obviously we're having a lot of problems in the United States, and it's not just the United States. It's worldwide. And we were looking to the southern hemisphere going, okay, well, if we fall short on our corn and stuff up here, they're going to be able to bring it. Right? Well, they're not bringing it. They've been pummeled. We've had a really good hurricane season so far this year. You know, keep praying that it remains that way. But they've been coming, these tropical storms have been just coming in off the Pacific and just hammering Mexico and the southern hemisphere. So it's not good. Plus, like Brazil, China wants Brazil's corn. But they don't want to buy Brazil's corn unless they check it for fungus and weeds. So that's kind of weird, right? Like you'd assume that was getting done anyway. Well, because of the lack of pesticides, because of the lack of, like roundups and stuff that you could spray down to keep the weeds out of there. The harvesters are actually going to pick up all these weeds along with all the crop that they're harvesting. And now a certain percentage of that crop is going to be actual weeds and stuff. Some of them are poisonous and things like this. So we're just talking lower and lower and lower yields. So they won't even sell to China this year because China just won't buy it. I don't know if that's a smart move or not, but that's the way it is. That's what's going on between them right now. Then there was the Tonga eruption. So this happened back in April, I believe. I didn't get the exact date on it. I did a feature for James at the time on, how the Tonga eruption happened and what was the immediate circumstances. Well, now we're months down the road and that ash cloud went so far up into our stratosphere that it's basically blocking out the southern hemisphere. It's adding a bigger filter to all of that sunlight, which means those plants that grow on the ground underneath where the SO2 is laying in thickly, we're talking between 10 degrees south, 30 in between 10 degrees south and 30 degrees south. They're going to be the worst hit in that strip with sulfur dioxide sitting in the air. That's going to give them even less crop yields. That's going to give them plants that have less nutrients because they've been less fed by the sun. So all these things are kind of compounding. Plus, it changed the rain patterns down there. They've had these crazy monsoons, all this flooding going on, just insane things. Their temperature is not as hot as it should be. Boy, I wish we could get some ash cloud over here. And
careful what you wish for.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting to that part of the episode. I was thinking the same thing, actually. Scientists this time around with the Tonga eruption tried to say that the ash cloud was going to heat our planet. Mm-hmm. That would be the first time in history that a volcano has ever heated our planet. That's just insanity. They're really stuck on this global warming thing. Yeah, it's just not going to happen.
When you got a hammer, everything's a nail, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. You're right. You're right on. But it's not. It will definitely have the cooling effect that every other volcano in history has had. Pinatubo is the volcano that we've seen in human history that, really had a significant effect. That's been in modern recording era. And so that one took the planet's temperature down. Every single volcanic eruption we've looked at, it's taken the planet's temperature down. So I don't understand how they can come to that rationale. It's got me a little, I don't know. They just lie so much. So that's why you have to do your own research.
January 15th. Does that sound right?
Pinatubo?
No, the Tonga eruption.
The Tonga eruption? It could very well have been.
Yeah.
It was this year, earlier in the year. So, and it was massive. That cloud from that volcano went 24 miles up into the air. Yeah,
they said it shot water vapor up into space.
Yes. Yeah. So all that water vapor, all of that's just hanging in our atmosphere over the southern hemisphere right now. Oh, let's see. So, yeah, and then resource nationalism as well. So countries are like, well, we're not going to sell our food because we see that coming down the horizon, it might not be good things. And countries like Indonesia are rapidly just importing as much as they can right now because they're like, we can look for some unrest coming not too far in the near future in Egypt because their wheat imports have just been slashed. They got a lot from Ukraine. They had to cancel that contract because nothing was coming out of there. So all of this has a huge domino effect.
Mm-hmm.
Then on August 9th, this is why Sarah got so keyed up this week, because we started receiving warnings to prepare for a major earthquake in the east of the United States. So I'm like, all right, what is going on? So on August 9th, over the last 48 hours before that, there was just a serious amount of earthquakes that went off on the North American Craton Plate. The North American Craton, you can look it up. They have a picture of it. It's really easy. Maybe Chin can throw it up in our live chat. If you would, please, because you love me. It actually is a rift that comes down like through Yellowstone. It gradually comes down. It goes through the northern part of Texas. And then it shoots back up along the Appalachian Mountain Range there all the way up into Maine. So it's a big deal. It's a big part of our country. Charleston, South Carolina has had, So
1890 or something?
1886.
Something. Yep.
Yep, the
Close.
magnitude 7. Yep. Yeah, you were close. Hit Charleston. If that magnitude 7 hit Charleston today, they determined it would be over 900 people dead and 20 billion in damage. And that's not to mention the New Madrid earthquake that's happened there. That was like a month long, but back then there weren't a lot of people there. So the USGS, they often downgrade earthquakes or they omit them altogether. So there's different sites that you can follow to see more of the earthquake activity, reporting out of Europe and things like that. But Volcano Discovery also reports a large amount of earthquakes. They'll also report like if there's been sonic booms or things like that going on. So you can see more of them there. But even the USGS reported a lot of quakes happening along that fault line. Then the Hudson River started bubbling out methane.
Right?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Isn't that insane? Oh, it was insane to see. Last time they had this much activity, there was I think it was on like a beach in Rhode Island or something like that. There was a methane bubble that came up and blew this woman like 15 feet across the beach, dude. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. She's just chilling and then boom. So these things happen. And
it's like a prank.
I know, like God's like, right? Karen. Right.
Where's your mask now?
Yeah. And during the New Madrid quake, there was all the sand blows, methane, massive amounts of earth movement as far as like some pieces going up 2 stories, some just dropping, new lakes forming, that kind of thing. The earthquakes are more severe in this area because the East Coast is more solid plates, not shattered plates like over on the West Coast. So an earthquake shakes a lot longer distance. A lot of these buildings also aren't made for earthquakes. So guys, if you're, next show we're going to do it on is talking about great quakes because, I wrote the Changing Earth series. But you really need to be prepared. Make sure you have some kind of shoes by your bed that you can access, if there was to be glass on the floor, that kind of thing. Really, that's your best bet. You should have an emergency kind of kit next to your bed, that kind of thing. Anyway, know what to do. I have tons of episodes on it. And make sure you can get to a safe place relatively quickly. Like, where that safe place is. So there is a warning right now. East Coasters, watch out. They are, forecasting these earthquakes happen once every about 100 years, and it's been 136 years since the last one. So we kind of are overdue at this point.
Well, with that gas coming out of the river, it's kind of ominous.
It's kind of like, here's your sign.
Yeah.
Like, so you might want to be ready.
You might want to go see the Rockettes this Christmas season.
There's been
in New York City.
More activity at Yellowstone. There's been a lot of activity in Western Texas. There's been activity all along, and they're also fracking along that border as well. So that's not really helping, but we need our energy. Okay. Oh, and then just 4 days ago, another 2.5 earthquake was recorded in South Carolina. So that was just on the 10th. Our rotation speed is not slowing, and that is not going to help things for any of the earthquake pressure, volcanic activity. We've already broken the record twice this year, or a few times this year. So over 3 times this year, we've already broke the record.
Earth is trying to shake us off.
I think he's trying to get rid of Biden faster. Sorry, I went political. Sorry. So the shortest day is predicted to be November 10th, and it's supposed to spin at negative 2.93 milliseconds. So, and then we're supposed to be down 113.05 milliseconds for the year. Now, are you going to notice? I mean, yeah, you're not going to notice. But the core of the planet is, okay? And so that's going to cause magma changes, all those things. It's going to increase the earthquake and volcanic activity. This also expands our crust, and we're watching rivers disappear or actually start in different places now. And I have an example of that for you today that's happening around our world right now, which is, it's insane to see it in action. The weakening magnetic field, that's what's causing this to happen. It allows more magnetism in, that starts speeding things up. And so here we go. We're going for a ride. So if you've been following along with the Changing Earth podcast, we've been watching extreme weather events smack every corner of our globe. People are like, yeah, well, that stuff happens all the time. Well, that stuff does happen all the time. Does it happen in so many places, 100-year events, 50-year events, that kind of thing, all at once in one, in a few sequenced years? No. Okay, we are breaking records that haven't been broken in hundreds of years, and people are like, yeah, well, that kind of stuff happens. It doesn't. At this point, that's a null and void at this point. If you're really paying attention to what's going on around the world, what's happening on our planet right now does not happen all the time. And yes, it might have, like I say, those once in 100-year events, but for the once in 100-year events to be happening all at once, that is what's weird. So, okay, I hear that a lot in feedback. These things happen all the time. Well, yes, but not all at the same time. So these areas, we've had the areas of our planet that are just in these record droughts. I can speak to you because I'm in one of those areas. And then when they're getting rain, it is just happening way too fast and furiously. And so that water doesn't have a chance to soak into the earth. It just gets washed away. Look what's happening in Vegas, right now. And Vegas is not, Saudi Arabia, Iran. They're having the same thing. South Africa, same thing. Okay, so these areas that were just under severe drought just get pummeled with rain, and now you have these devastating flood events right on the heels of it all. There's been an uptick of earthquake activity. The earthquake activity will actually, if you look at the sonograms of the volcanoes around the world, you can actually see when mega-quakes happen because all of the magma in the world will move, which is really cool to see. One of the earthquakes just caused mega movement at Yellowstone. They've also been having swarms there. I'm not a huge believer in the Yellowstone eruption. I'm more sold on the Long Valley caldera in California going off. It's a super volcano that people don't know about. But we have volcanoes like Tonga. We have volcanoes like La Palma getting ready to ramp back up. And there are actually over 200 volcanoes in Texas. I did not know that. My research led me down the rabbit hole, and over 200 volcanoes in Texas. And there's so many in New Mexico, Arizona. So there's all these things we don't know about. And there's actually a super volcano that's been discovered under Maryland as well. So you over there on the East Coast, you're like, yeah, well, we don't have the volcanoes. You do. You do. Absolutely. I haven't heard Chin in a while. I'm wondering if I lost him. Chin. So humans are fueling the fire of, oh, there you are. I think I lost you for a second. Are you there?
I was talking to you.
Oh, yeah, I didn't hear you at all. You're like coming in and out. Because I'm on a roll. I'm on a roll.
Must be a fault lines over here.
Yeah, right? Yeah, you're not immune over there. So, humans are fueling the fire, and I'm not talking about carbon emissions, okay? I'm not talking about like, oh, we need to be green and save the planet. That's not what I'm talking about. They're actually trying to play God and change our planet. So they were talking about putting like some kind of a ball into space where they could surround our planet in these little balls and filter the sunlight even more. And, you know, Earth can take care of
I've
itself.
seen them do that on water.
Right?
Have you ever seen they tried to do it in ponds and stuff to change the heat, the temperature?
Yeah, for the algae and that. So anyway, so they're talking about doing this in space. You know, we don't know what those kind of things will do. So everybody's like, oh, chemtrails or that's a conspiracy theory. Put on your tinfoil hat. Right? No. So they actually do this. It is not a conspiracy theory. It started in northern New York in 1946 on November 13th. They created a snowfall by releasing 6 pounds of dry ice into clouds there. They used it during the Vietnam War to try and intensify monsoons. And they've been shown, like, if it's they specify you can't do it when there's already like clouds and stuff on the way, because when they put it up into those types of clouds, they create a lot more lightning events and serious hail. And we've been having some very serious hail around the world. Is this a correlation? I don't know. I'm not one of the super smart scientists. I'm just saying, like, we've had these record hail events happening now. And
you've been talking about it all year.
Right? And we know this cloud seeding happens. We know that's one of the byproducts of cloud seeding. So it's just a little interesting. The lightning, you know, Ben over at Suspicious Observers told us to look out for the increased lightning because of the magnetic shielding going down. More intense lightning events and things like that. So, you know, like I say, I don't have statistics on that. I'm just looking at the patterns. Companies that do cloud seeding or are manipulating our weather, they actually have to file a report. And you can find those reports at the NOAA.gov site. You just go over there and put cloud seeding into the search. And you can actually pull up the list of the cloud seeding experiments and everything that they're doing. It'll show you what date it's going to happen on. It'll show you what they're putting out into the atmosphere. And it's all legitimately over there. So as far as people saying this is all tinfoil hat, well, then why do companies have to file reports to let the public know what they're spraying into the atmosphere? Not really. And there's like a $10,000 fine or something if they don't do it. So, I mean, to a lot of companies, that's just a drop in the hat. They, you know. Plus, we aren't the only country doing this. So, if every like country around the world is trying to manipulate their weather and stuff like that, they have pictures of like the Australian weather manipulation planes and these types of things. So if everybody's doing it, how do we know how that's all going to react with each other? I don't know. It didn't bring me warm, cuddly feelings. So with all that going on, I would suggest that you stock up on some food. I would suggest that you be prepared possibly for an earthquake there on the East Coast. Areas like St. Louis and that are just not built for these types of events. So it's even more important if you're living in like a masonry building, that kind of thing, to be aware of it, be aware of what's going on. All right. Everybody feeling good now? No. That's why I had to bring it for that. When I saw the Hudson, I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I knew you were going to be excited about that one.
I was like, this is not good. And then we've been watching the activity just light up on the Craton. And so hopefully, like, it's just jiggling enough that it releases it and it's not anything bad. It's when, you know, it kind of stops and builds that you have to look for problems. So the little movement can be good things. Yeah.
I just found some NOAA report. Approximately 70 ground-based cloud nuclei generators will be used.
Right? Mm-hmm. And they were doing a cloud seeding project right by Yellowstone
Nevada,
before it flooded, before they had that severe flooding there.
When was this? Man, what a rabbit hole you've got us chasing down.
I know. I knew you guys were going to love that one because everybody's like, oh, chemtrails is tinfoil hat. My husband was like, they don't do that. I'm like, yes, they do.
Yeah, each generator will emit 8 grams per hour of silver oxide.
Yep. And they also think that the silver oxide coating the trees is another reason why the wildfires are getting so bad and out of control. I mean, there's a whole plethora of things that, like, we probably shouldn't be messing with. You know, and then, so it's safety and environment, and there's like a check yes or no. This is like a report somebody had to turn in. Check yes or no. And has an environmental impacts study, federal or state, been filed? Check yes or no. No. Was checked. Yep.
Just saying.
I haven't seen any that I looked at that filed the environmental.
Why would you mess with the environment and want to do a study to see if it's going to affect the environment?
Right? That just seems silly.
Holy smokes, Sarah.
Yeah, I told you. I was like, oh, I'm bringing it today because there's things afoot. All right, let's hear from Jay's case, and then after we hear from Jay's case, then we're going to jump into what's happening today.
Fish mocks. Fish docks. For the longest time, preppers have been looking for an answer for antibiotics in a disaster or emergency. In 2020, we watched the supply chain fall apart. When I met the team at Jace Medical, they explained to me how they can put a prescription of backup antibiotics into your hands. The Jace case is 5 different types of antibiotics. Unlimited physician follow-up for any questions relating to the use of these antibiotics, and a written emergency antibiotic guide that is authored by a board-certified physician. This is the antibiotic solution preppers have been waiting for. Go to jacemedical.com and check out the Jace case. Use the promo code PBN10 and you'll get $10 off your Jace case. All right, take your medical preparedness to the next level. Go to jacemedical.com and use promo code PBN10 for $10 off.
All right, I actually did my Jace case reveal. Got it opened up. I have to get that video over to James. I know he's listening to the show right now, so
He's
just know
posted.
it's on the way. But it's cool. It's real cool.
I just posted that report up there. So
Sweet.
yeah, we can't wait to see your.
Yeah, I
you're all
hate being
dialed
on.
up and showing off the Jace case.
Yeah, I had to get dressed even. I had to get dressed going to town, and I was like, oh, okay, as long as I'm dressed, then I better do this video. So, no, good stuff. Very, very good find, and a great company to be sponsoring PBN.
Yeah.
So, all made in America. Very happy. So, very happy with it all together. Alrighty, well, that's all I got for today, and we're up to time. We're right on the mark, so hopefully everybody enjoyed it. Got to learn a little bit about what's happening and why we just need to stay ready.
I posted a bunch of those links and stories that you were talking about, so
Sweet.
you all go look at the live show chat.
Check it out, and then head on over.
Yourself a little more.
Yeah, head on over to the website, www.changeingearthseries.com. The hub. I'll have all of my links for my show notes today posted there. Yeah. Alrighty.
Very good.
We'll just get out of here.
Okay.
Okay. Until next time, remember, dream,